Hello everyone. Today our session is on MSME's growth partner opportunity for CA as a MSME growth partner. Our speaker is CA Atul Chawla. MSME is the largest growing sector in India and there is a lots and lots of opportunities for the CAs. Today our speaker CA Atul Chawla ji is explain us the opportunity for the CA as MSME growth partner. Let's have a brief introduction of our speaker. CA Atulji is a DPIIT mentor for Startup India, specializing in helping startup grow through private equity, venture capital, and venture debt. With experience mentoring over 100 startups and assisting in their fundraising journey. He also guides professionals, especially CAs, on diversifying into advisory and mentoring. His approach goes beyond compliance, focusing on strategic growth and fundraising to drive business success. Now I request to our speaker to start their session. Sir, please start your session.
Am I audible?
Hello.
Hi, Manishi, am I audible? Okay, thank you. Hi, I am C. Atul Chawla, and I've been into the practice for almost now 25 years. And I would rather say that we had a journey of being central statutory auditors of banks also, and then we had also an opportunity of being NAV auditors of life insurance companies also. But and of course, GST was one of the most important bread and butter for a long, long time, and income tax, everything. What a normal income tax practitioner would be. But having said that, I think the last 5, 6 years have been really the turning point of our career. And not only that, now we are meeting almost dozens of new clients, especially the startups and MSME corporates, who want to really grow big, who have desperate new ideas, and they want professionals who are not just their, I would say, tax advisors or compliance officers, but rather than that, they want partners who can actually advise them how they can achieve that kind of success, which can take them on the next level. And for that, I just share whatever experience that I've had in the past couple of years with all my fellow friends, because I really feel that in today's time, though of course we are hearing a lot about SME IPO, we are hearing a lot about Shark Tank, but I think it's one of the best times to be in practice, especially when there is a huge demand for private equity and venture capital. Then there got you must be here reading all across the Economic Times that government is putting a lot of effort, especially for the MSMEs, where they are advising MSMEs to really raise the kind of capital. In fact, in today's news only, there are a lot of top corporate houses, even like Kotaks, the Mahindras, and many more actually, I would say, who, along with their regular businesses, have now created a huge amount of capital separately, which they are now investing in venture capital funds. In fact, not just that corporates are coming in, as my friends all in the practice today would appreciate that, there was a time, if I go back 10, 15, 20 years back, when usually the film stars, the cricketers, they would, park all their funds in real estate. They would open their restaurants. Tendulkar had a restaurant. But now what has happened in last 5 years is, or 3 to 5 years is that most of these people, especially the cricketers or the film stars or those who get the kind of good money, they don't just park in real estate. In fact, real estate has just become 10 to 15% of their total income. What they are doing is they are putting a lot of money into the startup domain, into the MSME domain. They are now looking for those companies who have a huge potential. They have got and trust me, it is not only a lot of our people are misguided that the kind of funding is only in the technology sector or innovation sector. What we are dealing in is something. If even yesterday you would have heard, the Haldiram has sold its equity. They've not gone for an IPO. They've sold to the equity to one of the large fund houses of America for over 10 billion valuation for a 10% stake. So 1 billion valuation, that is the kind of money that is flowing in across the world into the Indian ecosystem. And I think for a practicing chartered accountant, this is one of the best times to be in, where they can not only increase their relations, their contacts, because now it is a totally different feeling when a corporate MSME, a startup comes to you for advisory. Sir, tell me how to grow. If you are into any kind of this domain where you can discuss what all have been your experiences, I would rather request those who are participating today, if they can actually write their experiences also, or they have any doubts and questions along in the chat box, so that at least we have some real life questions today. Because what I'm sharing is probably we have heard this a lot of times earlier also. But definitely, if you have any kind of personal experience of how you can help your client, or what kind of clientele you hire, I think that will be a wonderful case study to look forward. Having said that, just to take you again back to the what is the role of a CA today as a growth partner. We have been experiencing this personally also, that today a lot of our clients who were earlier not coming, promoters who are not meeting us, saying that we are basically into the compliances of GST and income tax only, are now approaching us as to how we can raise funds, how what kind of capital then can be infused. Suppose he's an EPC contractor, he wants to get good, he wants to get good money. The point is, he can't, without any money, he can't even bid for an EPC contract. And trust me, there are a lot of people who are now investing us. It's not only the banks, because what used to happen earlier was that only if you have a collateral, then you would go to a bank. If you don't have a collateral, your chances of getting money was very little. And even today, what Tata Finance or a Birla Finance or even Cholamandalam Finance, they normally do business loans of not more than 50 lakhs or 75 lakhs. This is their average ticket size. But today, the kind of this new ecosystem, I would say, or the new fintech firms that have come in, they can be NBFCs or AIFs. The kind of money they are putting in your company is far bigger than even your own imagination. I'm sorry for the background news. There is some renovation going on in the building outside. But yes, surely, if there is any more live questions that you would have, it will be interesting to have that also. So basically, if I go back to the contents are not what you may not be have heard earlier, because it is very reasonable for a CA to be focusing more on GST areas. But how can we today be a growth partner into the MSME sector, especially, or the startup sector? So I think I'll just take the next little time of all of you to understand where and what kind of deals that have happened in the past, which can probably give you some insight as to if you can also raise what kind of capital. For example, we just completed a small deal where we were able to raise 18 crores of unsecured loan. For those who may be participating today, if they can write or they can share what is an average ticket loan that they would have heard of getting an unsecured loan, it would be nice to read that also. But yes, we had ourselves raised around 18 crores of unsecured loan, that too for a startup. Then we've also just closed there's a startup on aviation sector, and we were able to get them a helicopter finance, that too without any collateral. Now, earlier these kind of funds did not used to happen, and the promoters used to feel disappointed or dejected rather, where their business ideas would not flourish. But today, you can become the consultant to your client. You can actually become the growth partner to your client, be it a MSME or of course a startup. But definitely, it's an opportunity for you to not only give him more insight, but also to share your vision as to how you can become a new virtual CFO. Because most of these MSMEs may or may not have a proper full-time CFO also. But if your client wants advisory beyond just taxation or GST, I would request that you can venture into this kind of practice also, which is a very very core professional practice. And best part is, once you're into this, you'll be having an opportunity to meet a lot of people, and with having met more and more people, the relation and the opportunities of business will surely grow. For example, ATIAC. Now, ATIAC is again a very specialized income tax exemption that is available from DPIIT. We have been successful in getting for a couple of our clients. It's again a very technical process, but most of the clients may or may not be even aware of it. Now, this is also a very good professional opportunity where, in case you can, advise your clients who may be an MSME, where they are, it's basically not a very old traditional business, but definitely they have started new, or they are using it on something very, interesting ideas. Then you can actually advise them to register themselves as a startup at DPIT, and then you can also, encourage them to get the benefits of ATIAC, because of course the ATIAC is basically for any kind of innovative products that you have used. Now that innovation may not mean you have to be some technocrat, or you have to be some kind of I would say a programmer to get that kind of exemption. But having said that, this is again a very professional opportunity for most of the practicing chartered accountants. Now we're coming to something which is very interesting. For those who may be attending this particular program, I'm sure you would have been reading a lot of big deals that are happening. Especially if I talk about Zepto, or what is the difference between advising your clients between a SME IPO or a private equity or a venture capital or venture debt. First of all, I'll just clarify what is the difference between private equity, venture capital, and venture debt. Private equity is something which is of a ticket size of 30 crores and above. Something which is already, the people have already raised their kind of capital earlier. They have bootstrapped. Now they have raised basically seed capital and a pre-series A, and now they're looking for something which is a larger ticket size. Venture capital is something which is on a lower ticket size, something in the range of say 2 crores to 10 crores, 15 crores. This is something which is venture capital. It is like a initial seed capital what a client requires. You'll be happy to know that the kind of people that we are meeting for the venture capital is even a sweet shop or a sweet packaging company. Even he is getting private equity. A cosmetic brand, we are looking for a cosmetic brand. They are raising venture capital. And lastly, what is a venture debt? Venture debt is different from a normal bank debt. It's different from an unsecured debt. But then, what exactly is venture debt? Interestingly, venture debt is financed by limited few NBFCs, AIFs. It is basically financed for those companies who have already raised private equity, and that private equity also from those institutional players, so that now they feel that they are convinced that that since there are institutions who have already invested in your company, that means we can trust your company for more lending, and then they don't really, of course, take any collateral, and so they have option of taking some part of an equity, to give you to take some cushion in the form of debt, pure debt reverse, and the other is in the form of some component in the form of equity, so that they can also be a part of your company for the long term. So this is something which is we are trying to identify today. What is the difference between private equity, venture capital, and venture debt? I'm sure a lot of our people would have been knowing now that there are MSME. What exactly is MSME and MSE? What are the new slabs that have come in? Of course, for the purpose of a lot of those people who may not be aware of it, we have kept some slides down below. Importance of CAs in MSME. I think this is what I think I would try to focus, because this is something that even we came to understand after a couple of years of our practice, that this is something that we were not aware of. But once we were into the MSME advisory services, we realized that this is a huge opportunity for us. And I think for most of the people who are attending this particular webinar, I'm sure if you are able to spend some time and understand, or maybe guide your clients, I think this is a big opportunity that most of us can collaborate. And the best part is that we can all collaborate in a joint ecosystem where the CA fraternity as a whole can become a partner, because this will not only happen allow us to be a large firm competing the big four, but this is what normally the big four are quite competent of. Being individual practitioners, we may not have the competency to have a GST or a TDS or a FAMA, international laws, or what are the gift city laws. We may not have all those facilities for most of the CAs in practice, but while we are consulting as in the MSME sector, especially for the private equity, I think this also gives us an opportunity to collaborate together, create a joint large ecosystem wherein we can share our business opportunities to each other, so that as a whole ecosystem we can all grow, and maybe we can create a big five or a big six or a big seven also. So what all are basically, if you have, of course, what is an MSME? Of course, I have kept it intentionally for the later half, so that I'm sure a lot of people would have been knowing it, what exactly are MSMEs. But having concentrating this particular discussion on to what are the opportunities for us. So there are a lot of opportunities, especially in the relation to the financial planning, risk management, compliances, and then there are for the, even from SME IPO, there are a lot of due diligence that needs to be done, and for even when the investor is there, you would require a lot of due diligence to be done, and a lot of assistance needs to be coming from your end also. So how in that scenario we can understand, and then probably we can implement that as well. The due diligence that they require, the kind of information that they require, the kind of due diligence that they do, will only assist you to maybe tomorrow you can advise your clients how to really approach the venture capitals or the private equity players. What we see in Shark Tank, I think, is just a glamorous glimpse of it, I would say, because of course they do give 50 lakhs or even more, but I think if your clients are a little larger, and they're looking to raise in the anywhere between 2 crores, 5 crores, 10 crores, 20 crores, or even 100 crores, I think it is a time when you can actually step into the shoes. You can meet your clients, understand their business ideas. You can help them plan the because for a lot of the clients, even they are not aware why would somebody invest into their business. That is something I think that is the start that you can always do. That's probably I would say like an ABC of from where do we start? And from here we start that why would somebody invest in you? What kind of growth that they're expecting? Is my company able to give, will my company be able to give that kind of growth also or not? Because most of the people, I think, let's go by a very simple example of Zepto. Where did this idea start? That, or maybe who would have trusted those people, the young guys, of creating a app like Zepto or maybe Oyo or maybe Ola at that particular time when all these services are very new, very nascent. And then from there onwards, it was a time when, even if you read about the stories of Zepto, I think it's very surprising and it is very interesting how they're able to raise almost 200 crores, 300 crores almost every quarter or maybe in 6 months, and that too at much higher valuation. The kind of opportunity that they're looking at, the kind of business that they're looking at, the kind of deployment that they're looking at, I think this is the great opportunity. If you can, from the day one, you can be a partner to your client to advise them as to what kind of opportunities that they have, what kind of options that they have, so that the clients meet you not only to understand any mistakes in the internal audit or GST audits, but also to meet you to feel more fired up, that they can really maybe be the next Oyo themselves or the Olas themselves, or the next, how can they be the next Zeptos, or how can they compete tomorrow with the larger people like Shoppers Stop or a Lifestyle. Similarly, a CA is more well versed from the financial perspectives, even while discussion and negotiating the prices with the venture capital, to put forward their whole proposal as to how much is the value addition that they can give, or how much is the business opportunities. So as a vision, along with the promoter, you can sit and discuss, and then you can bring it on paper, we are all, I'm sure somewhere or the other times we would have created CMA data for our banks. And here also, the private equity players expect a larger role of the CAs because they want to understand, what will be what is the vision of the client, because they want to make at least 3 times their money in 3 to 4 years. Now it is us who has to really, sit with the client, understand his value proposal first, and then advise him in creating the proposal formats so that the venture capital funds, the private equity players, they find our business proposal interesting, and tomorrow, if they are able to invest in us, that is where we create a long-term bond with our clients also. So we have a business model development and of course the market analysis. In both these things, it is very important for us to understand, what is our role, because the more advisory work that we take up from our clients, it is more opportunity, options are available to charge a premium for our services. We all understand that the kind of money that we are getting for filing a GST return is a very nominal amount. It's not really as handsome as we all would expect it to be, or with the kind of intelligence that is required or the effort is required. I still feel we are, as a practicing chartered accountant, we are underpaid for our job. But having ventured into this field of advising our clients for venture capitals or the private equity, we could realize that we add a lot more value to the business. In terms of the business model development, it is very important, and of course the market analysis, because as CAs we are far more equipped with an analytical approach. We can actually cut down to the last level also, and then we can see what is the practical difficulty in doing that kind of business, or what will be the the opportunities. Suppose if you are able to raise 10 crores, 20 crores, or maybe 100 crores, what is the right way of investment? Because a lot of these startups fail because they are not advised well. We've seen a lot of people who have actually lost a lot of money. Of course, this is not the podium where I can name a few, but there are many names. Of course, we do hear about some good stories, but then there are many stories who fade away, uh, who may have raised 10 crores, 20 crores, or even 100 crores, 200 crores, 500 crores. But because of the promoters driving it on their own without any second advice from real financial experts, and that is where many of these startups also fail. So I think it's a very important aspect, a partnership between you and your client, where you can actually be hand holding him, because what happens is once you're getting a lot of funds, the deployment, the verticals that you suddenly start up, most of them are at times reckless also. So it's important that you become a growth advisor, so that in the long term you're able to hold the company's financials and the investment trust that people have put in you for a long, long time. Uh, Meanwhile, if there are any questions or queries, I'm sure you can always write it in the chat box also, or Manish can put it up for us. So again, coming back to the broad steps that we have, seen in the last couple of RDI transactions, as to how we are able to prepare the information deck for most importantly, because what happens is from the start is that how we prepare that teaser, or how the deck, for which they normally come to us only, and so that we can actually bring a very analytical, forward-looking, and a positive outlook of the business that they want to approach. So you understand that you sit with the client, you understand the business model, you understand his vision, then you put it down on the papers, bring in all the possible expenses, and of course the unforeseen expenses also, so that you're able to justify your report. This is again a very big opportunity. A lot of people are coming to us, and of course coming to a lot of other CAs who are specializing in this kind of preparation. So if you're able to invite or advise your clients in how to prepare this kind of deck, information memorandum, or a teaser, I think this is again very interesting area. Similarly, there's a huge demand for a structured debt. What is a structured debt is at times their clients may or may not have the right amount of collateral. They may not even have the, especially if they are a startup, then they are not able to approach the banks or the typical NBFCs. At that time, also, it's a big gap for the vision that needs to be complemented with enough capital to make it successful. Even then, if you are aware of the people around you, if you're aware of the venture capital funds, if you're aware of the AIFs, if you're aware of the debt funds that are now working in India, who are actually, I have a very interesting thing to share here. There are a lot of people, at least half a dozen investing companies that I met, who gave me a very unique and a very new, fresh, I would say, vision of their companies, where they say that now they don't even want to have a collateral for giving money. And that too, I'm talking about not 10, 15 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 1 crore. I'm talking about hundreds of crores. There are companies in India who are giving almost 200 crores of unsecured loan. Yes, 200 crores of unsecured loan, but on the vision, on the company's reputation, on the background, and on the profile of the promoters. Most importantly, how good are the promoters? How good are their clients? How good are they professional or not? If they're if they are maintaining a professional approach for their companies and their growth. So what happens is that if you're aware of the if we are ourselves aware of these opportunities outside, we can go to our clients, and then maybe then our clients can benefit from our experience and our network, and then they can raise, which is kind of unsecured loan also of maybe 50 crores, 100 crores, or even more. So, as a growth partner, one thing is very clear that our clients have a lot of vision with them, especially if they are coming with some kind of innovative products. If they are a startup, then you can also sit down with them and understand if you can actually take them global, because a lot of now global companies are coming to India. They are investing in the companies, and if you are an MSME or a startup, you can be into manufacturing, trading, restaurants, packaged foods, gift items, cosmetic, FMCG. A lot of these, I think almost every other company is now investing into the new products. And even I wasn't aware, but while we were in discussion for one of our cosmetic client, we came to know that there are so many, over I would say 2 dozen of the new small brands which we now see at Shoppers Stop or Lifestyle, or and a lot of sales are happening through online platforms, which probably we may not even be aware of. But most of these have, of course, Mama is just one of them who has really shot up to fame. But there are other dozens of such clients who are probably into varied products and services, and they're all getting that kind of support from the industry, from the companies, from the fund houses. Of course, this is one very generic support that you can give to your client, which is in the form of advising them to register themselves at DPIT, which is of course as a Startup India domain, and then the other is of course ATIAC. Now ATIAC, recently we have read in the budget also that its tenure has been increased from 3 to 4 years, and of course for a DPIT as a startup, I think most of the companies who may not be aware of, but you should advise your clients to get themselves registered with Startup India, because there are a lot of in the budget also. The finance minister has given a lot of facilities to such companies, and of course, which are more than beyond an MSME also. Of course, we are all aware that we are getting benefits in the Section 56 as an angel tax. There are a lot of government schemes. In fact, for the MSME, 25 to 30% of procurement has to be bought from the MSME sector only, and that is, I think, a big boost for all of the MSME sector. So I think it's the time when we'll have to really step out of our broad basic domain of compliances and then maybe go to those are so you should meet your clients. You should try to organize meetings with your clients. You should organize to at least once in a week. You should keep yourself free for such meetings so that you can approach your clients, especially those clients who you feel are forward looking. You feel that they have an opportunity of growth, and then I'm sure with a lot of your insight and experience, they would value your meetings. They would value your experience and advice far more than just being a compliance officer. And of course, 80% rebate on patent filing fees for those registered with DPIIT. Self-certification is there for compliance relaxation, and of course, easier winding up. So there are a lot of benefits that the companies are getting, both at MSME level or the startup level, if you are registered with DPIIT. And the process to register with DPIIT is not very tenuous. It's more of an online or paper filing work. Of course, they'll put up some of your queries, and even for ATIAC, I would I remember our own experience that they were very transparent, they were very efficient, they were very quick to raise their queries, and it did not take us too much time also to give a good presentation online and then get that kind of certification from the government of ATIAC. So I think if you are a practicing chartered accountant, it's really a an add-on professional income for you, a professional opportunity for you, if you can go ahead and not only advise your clients but specialize in what exactly DPIIT wants, how DPIIT works, and what kind of services that you can further provide to your clients. Of course, we have all understood that the MSME, what all are the new opportunities or the government's from the investment perspective. Earlier it was just 1 crore. It has been now raised to 2.5 crores. For a small industry, it was 10. Now it has been raised to 25. And then there's a medium, which were earlier 50, which has now threshold has been increased to 125 crores. And same is with from the point of view of turnover, again, the threshold has increased. From a revenue of 5 crores to the revenue of 10 for a micro, for a small, it has been increased from 50 to 100. And of course, for medium, it has increased from 250 to 500. So the kind of, the companies that are now included in the MSME, I think for a company who has a turnover of 500 crores, who is basically in the MSME, it can come into the IPO sector also. Now, the promoter may not have enough capital to infuse at this stage. He would have already exhausted all his collaterals with the banks. And just imagine if he still requires 50 crores and 100 crores, how would you advise your clients? I think it's something very interesting to ask yourself that does he come to you to take an advice that I want to raise another 100 crores, or because I'm getting some new EPC contracts, or I'm getting a new opportunity of selling, or that my brand can now become a pan India because Amazon and Flipkarts have given his business a new lease of life. Just imagine if his turnover is 50 crores or 100 crores or even more. How are you prepared to guide him, or how equipped are you, I would say, to guide him so that he doesn't give the kind of professional opportunity out. Of course, we've been hearing about a lot of professional. There are companies who have really raised a great amount of success in the domain of private equity, or success in the IPO also, and so this is, I'm just trying to share with you, the kind of fundings that people would have, want to raise, be it from venture capital, or how many companies would have raised from venture capital, how many would have raised from venture debt, or how many would have raised from private equity. And as I justified earlier also, that a private equity player is somebody who is coming on the on a little larger level, and then of course venture capital is somebody who are coming on more of the initial stages of something like a 1 crore equity, or maybe up to 5 crores or even 10 crores. Of course, beyond that, you have the larger players who are kind of the private equity players, and then these are the people who really And there is another myth that I would like to share along with the discussion that we were having. There are a lot of MSME players who are basically the homegrown entrepreneurs who may not have that kind of large vision or the large HR department, or who are still in the growing nascent stage. They feel that if they take 10, 15% or 20% from any fund house, it will take away their personal power of taking decisions, and probably they are dependent upon every decision for a venture capital fund. I don't think so, because our experience has been a lot different. Our experience has been that most of these fund houses, because they are investing in you, it's like a marriage. They want to invest in you because they want to make you grow. They want to see you grow, and they rather would put in all their efforts also. They would rather invest their relations, their contacts, their clients, or cross selling between the clients, so that for them, if both the companies grow, eventually it's their capital that is growing. So in case your client has any kind of myth on that level, that bringing any private equity player can take away the freedom of taking any big call, or how would they want to manage their business. So I think it's again a myth and doesn't really happen too much, unless the promoters, they're taking the funds too lightly, or they're spending it recklessly. Then, of course, most these people have the option of, then by the because they are the directors on board, then they have the authority with them that they can come in, and then they can raise their options and choices also. By far now, if you have any kind of queries, it would be nice if you can share any experiences, or if there are any queries on the practical side. I would be more than happy to take it as a live case study also. So in case you have any, we'll be happy to take it. You can write from the chat. Just sharing with you a few insights, because this is where I feel that a lot of us may or may not be at times spending enough time to see what is happening beyond our routine business practices, and where the people have actually seen the growth. In 2014, Nika had raised 20 crores in funding valuation of almost 120. So just imagine, she would have given almost 15% stake for raising 20 crores. And so at that time, 15% for a 100 crore valuation was also looking very high. And then in 16, raising 80 crores at a 500 valuation. In 2020, raising 166 crores at almost 10,000 crores. And then same as when they raised almost 5,300 crores in an IPO. Now, this is the kind of, this is the kind of business that is happening around. And many a times we as practicing CAs do not, get the time enough to invest in this kind of business opportunity. And usually these business opportunities then go to merchant bankers or investment bankers, or we at times feel that we may not have the competency. But the point is, if we really want to see growth in our practice opportunities, in our professional practice, then we also must bring in some kind of new lease of life into our own business model also. And we could grow our own technical strength, by where we are able to bring in those people and those opportunities around us, so that we can make that kind of money. I think the same thing is Zomato, because that was an idea which was very early, very nascent. That would it really require a person to deliver food at home? It seemed very simple business model when it was started, but see the kind of growth that they have had in last 10 years only. 2013, they had raised around to 27 crores at a 1,000 crore valuation, so almost giving away 20% at that stage. Then raised 2,000 crores again at 8,000 crore valuation. then raised 1,800 crore at 40,000 crore valuation, and then raising almost 9,300 crore at 65,000 crore valuation. So I think this is the kind of money that is flowing into the ecosystems, which many of us may or may not be, still thinking about on those lines, or still be showing an interest on those lines. And so I'll be very happy, if among those who are attending this particular program, generally have an interest to learn this kind of how this whole mechanic works, and how they can actually, go to their clients, and they should at least have one meeting with the client every week, especially those who have that, who possess that kind of potential of growth, who have that vision, those who have that kind of zeal in them. If you can at least keep once in a while meeting with your client, and then maybe take a feedback, and then we can all discuss, what kind of opportunities can we make him on table, so that probably in the next meeting he can sit with the venture capital funds, because that will not only add depth to your reputation in front of them. They would rather take you as an elder brother for finances and for a lot of good advisory, but also they can trust your, experience, and how we can be not just, sitting behind as a compliance officer. We can actually be approached for being the growth partners as a virtual CFO, or maybe, as any opportunity that the client may have, the client may get in its own growth. Then, of course, we have the big names that we've all studied earlier: Paytm, Oyo. For a person who was a very young entrepreneur at the age of 20, he would have started at Oyo, and most of us would have been not even been thinking on those lines at that age and stage. But then there was somebody who would have, just thought of the project. He would have met some financial investors. He would have met some advisors, and from there, the kind of money in last 10 years that they have raised. Of course, the first investment was done in somewhere like 2010 for Oyo, and after that, the kind of speed that it suddenly picked up, that from almost 3,000 crores 10 years back, today it is almost 83,000 crores. So I think we are hearing about such kind of stories all over. And even today, if I share my experience of the clients that we are doing it, so we are working for a restaurant chain. We're doing for a packaged sweet shop. We're a packaged sweet a gift item company. We're doing for a cosmetic brand. We're doing for a helicopter aviation company, which is giving on lease. We're doing it for so we're doing it for multiple companies today, and so it's a very different feeling when the client approaches you on a regular basis to take advice as to how, even for a manufacturing company, I would say, somebody who's in the steel manufacturing, when they come to you, that they don't want to go to an IPO, but they rather would want to, get alternate kind of funding, maybe through a venture capital or a private equity or a venture debt. How can that be possible, so that they don't dilute enough, they have enough to be kept for the long term, and yet they are able to, scale their businesses, or what will be the right time for an IPO that they should think about. So I think all these queries, if you're able to solve for your client, I think then the opportunities of even your professional practice to grow, and more people that you can hire for the growth, and the services that you can provide, I think that'll be humongous, and that is all what we are here for. Any queries till now? So it will be nice if Manish, you have any queries that would have come to you. So I think we have broadly covered as to what exactly is also again the MSME funding, both from the government schemes, from the banks, and the private investors. Of course, from the banks also, we understand that now the banks have been told by the FM from the finance ministry that for the CGTMS also, they have increased the cover from originally it was started at 2 crores, then raised to 5 crores last year. Now it is up to 10 crores that the banks are required to give unsecured loan to the MSME sector for the purpose of raising money. And similarly, for the training programs, there are a lot of training programs that are happening even from the government platform. And that is why even for from ICI, we have kept this platform of MSME training, because I think we are the people who can actually go to those MSMEs and give them the vision factor, or we can change their vision from a traditional approach to maybe a far-reaching, bigger and more robust approach that they can all follow today. And of course, then there are a lot of grants that are now coming in for MSME, and especially when they're even from the government, central government procurement department, almost 25 to 30%, it has to be procured from an MSME. So by increasing the threshold of the MSME itself, I think a lot more companies can now compete for those central government purchasing, where from micro and small companies, a lot of such companies are now in that ambit of raising that kind of business from the governments of selling their products on the government basis. Any of you would have faced any problem in terms of creating a pitch desk? If you have, probably we can touch upon that also. That what are the problems that you face while you're creating a pitch desk? What is the difference about a pitch desk, or what is the kind of pitch desk that needs to be prepared so that your business proposal looks unique and it looks interesting as much to the investors. So now that is again one area that most of us may or may not have the experience, because a normal business pitch desk does not really work there. What they want to understand is that investing in you normally invest in your business for uh, not more than 2 to 3 years or maximum 5 years. After 5 years, they do want to see an exit so that they can, if need be, they can also they can exit anytime. So I think from the business perspective also, if there is any query that we have, of course, we can always take that up. But having said that, creating a pitch deck in itself is a very interesting and a very unique way of creating the way of just a second. So creating a pitch deck, I would say that it is again very interesting way of reaching out to your clients, where your clients may or may not know how to really create a pitch deck. They normally come back to their own CAs only, and then from there itself, there is again how to create a pitch deck, how kind of, so you have to give them a value proposition that that today if they are raising money, suppose 10 crores at say even 100 crore valuation, does this kind of valuation change into a 200 crore or a 300 crore value proposition in the next coming 3 to 5 years or not? What is the business model that they are doing that can bring that kind of money into the system? How can their value, because this, for a private equity player, it's about the value. If the value of the money will only increase, it's not only just about the turnover that we are showing in the books. It is not only about the profits that we are showing in the books, but what is the reason? We have seen the clients who have, I'm sorry to say, they have rather used not traditional, or I would say approved approaches in presenting their books, and because of that, they rather misguided the investors also in terms of what kind of business they are doing, and so that doesn't really help you in the long run. And we meet people who have then eroded almost 100 crores of the amount that they are invested in the that was invested in them, just because of not reporting it in the right format. So I think that is also very important, that how you advise your clients to be transparent, be honest, and then what is needed is not just about if you're able to increase the revenue top line, What is also needed is that how much are you burning on it? How much burning is needed? How much burning is being done to get that kind of top line? And I think there, as a financial expert, it's your knowledge that comes in to tell them that if you have got a 10 crore investment, how that investment can be kept safe, how they can be increased in value, how does it really help in creating more business proposition so that tomorrow when you would require another 50 crores or another next round of 100 crores. So what would have you been able to do? I think that's where a role of a CA or an auditor or a mentor does come in, and that's again a business opportunity for all of us. Of course, there are a lot of opportunities. We've already discussed that the governments are spending or inviting from the MSME, and of course, it is the CHDMS scheme also that they have increased. And there's a big startup show also happening today from second, third, and fourth in Delhi. So I would request or advise most of the people who are attending, especially if they are from Delhi NCR, that they must attend, and then from there they can meet more MSME people and try to see that if with the kind of vision that they have, do they turn around, do they convert into a business or not? Because eventually it's we who have to go to the MSMEs and share our experience, and with that experience we have to give them the zeal to the investor, to the MSME, to make them believe that you can actually help them to grow maybe 10x in the next maybe 10 years. But then just by writing on the books it will not be how practically you, because eventually what is needed is beyond, I would say, moral values or moral talking. I think what is needed is the funding, which is of course the bread and butter for the any MSME or any startup, and that is where, as your experience of how you can actually advise them, of course, for all the capacity building opportunities or the financial support or the increased opportunity, I think it's a lot of it will be on your shoulders as to how you can give them that kind of confidence. Of course, these are the growth impacts that are happening all across, and we all understand that how the MSMEs are now in terms of even ONDC platform that has come up for the MSME. This is of course a government platform, and that has really done very well. And of course, the kind of jobs that are expected to happen, especially if you're talking about the manufacturing sector or the service sector or maybe the contract manufacturing or service providing. So these are all the areas where a lot of things are happening, where you can actually have a growth opportunity for your professional practice also. But then you'll have to price yourself with all the new ways of creating that kind of business. So I think just like we are investing a lot of time in understanding the law and taxation matters, I think equally amount of time will be required. In fact, Chat GPT I think has taken away a very important aspect of our professional practice, because I was looking that Chat GPT gives equally good advice of any income tax or GST matter, including the case law, which for us earlier, we would have to spend hours to identify the case laws. And since our clients are now getting it all by themselves, there are a lot of less clients who are now approaching us for even their compliances work or any difficulties, because I think ChatGPT is just answering all of them. I think from that perspective, I feel that it is good time that we must diversify, expand our horizon. Our own horizon needs to be expanded before we go out to our clients and expand their vision. I think first of all we'll have to expand our vision, our horizon, how we want to grow, and what value we want to bring in, what options that we can want to bring in, because the kind of growth that you can see happening around, be it in the SME sector, from the government sector, from the MSME new laws that have been brought in by the finance minister, especially in terms of their debt repayment cycle. So, the MSME is the new core focus. And in that core focus, just being at a sidelined advisory, I think it's high time that we become the growth partners to share the vision of where they can tap the money from, because that is what they would need the most to take up any new project, open any new office, open any new manufacturing unit, or even to go international offices also. I think the capital is one of the most important things that they would require. Though we have, discussed this earlier also, but more from the perspective of those who have just joined now, joined late. We have got venture capital, venture debt, and private equity. And the venture capital is more from the early investment perspective. Typically, 50 lakhs to 10 crores is where the venture capital firms. Now, how do these venture capital firms run? Who are these venture capital funds? So I'll just take another 10 minutes on that. Who are these fund houses? Why are they investing in us? Or who is supporting them? And how do they really work? Maybe in the next 5 10 minutes I can just spend on that. What happens is that there are a lot of people who are now convinced outside India, in India, that properties are not growing at all at the pace that they would have loved to. They've got enough opportunities beyond just investing in real estate for rental income. Then where do they invest? Where they can become, if even one out of the five proposals that they bet on, they're able to hit the jackpot. Very recently, the owners of Snapdeal, with their fund, they had invested, I think, in Urban Clap. And when Urban Clap went public in IPO, their investment of 1 crore got them almost 110 crores. So that is the kind of growth that they got, all in, I think, 10 years or maybe even less. So this is the kind of the HNI funds, the large corporate house funds, the big corporate houses who want to invest and get kind of exceptional returns. And also, a lot of family members of the big houses are more happy to not run the company themselves. They hire a CEO to run it, but they're spending a lot of time in investing and understanding the options that are available in terms of investments into the private equity sector or the venture capital funds. Similarly, private venture capital, as I discussed, is something in the range of 50 lakhs to 1 crore or maybe 5 crores. But beyond that, something like 10 crores, 25 crores, 50 crores, 100 crores, 500 crores. This is where the private equity players, again, all these private equity players or the venture capital fund houses or even venture debt funds, they have their own memorandum. They work by the memorandum. They have got their mandate from the investors. Just like any other bank, they raise the money and then they invest in you. Like in bank, we have those who are there's a liability team, then there's an asset team. While the liability team is running around to raise capital, and the investment team is working on the funding aspect. Similarly, in a venture capital fund also, private equity players or venture debt, they work on the similar lines. Of course, they are semi-registered AIF. They basically have their team who help them raise capital, and then depending upon the what is the MOU, or what is the memorandum of that fund house on what businesses that they would want to invest. Like there are companies like in Lever Ventures, and they what the ITC also has their ITC Ventures. There are a lot of other such companies, or maybe even Zerodha, who does not really invest in technology. They are more happy to invest in healthcare, lifestyle. Similarly, the Times of India, they are also into venture funds where they do not take full capital, full money to publish your ads. They take just one third of it, two-third they reinvest into you as a private equity, as their equity contribution. So these are a lot of with all these fund houses have their own vision and approach to how they want to come in as partners to you, and then depending upon the director and his exposure and his experience, they trust the exposure and experience of the directors. and then accordingly they would want to, they invest into their vision, and of course with the kind of how professionally managed they are, or how opportunity big is there. And typically venture debt firms who they have an option of giving 90% in loan, 10% they reserve the repayment in the form of equity. So basically, they might lend you at 12 to 14%, but then they give all take an almost 10% equity, so that they also remain the long term into the business also, and they become the consistent own, the income comes from the company perspective also. So these are the different ways we can approach these people. And as you may be new to this field of venture capital and private equity, just an advice to you: you have to do a research of what kind of mandate each private equity player may have. Like there will be a company like Stride One, there will be something like Black Soil, there will be something like a Blackstone. So all these companies have different, approaches to your business. There will be something like a Bain Capital who would not invest less than 300 crores on private equity. Then there'll be somebody who would not want to invest more than 5 crores, or maybe half a billion in your account. So I think you'll have to really understand as to whom are you approaching, what is the mandate of those fund houses, who have invested into those fund houses, and then many times as an advisor to your client, you can also go by what has been the investing companies' approach to hands-on to the private to the corporates. In many cases, they allow a free hand to the corporates to run the show. The intervention is minimal, and in some cases, we have seen that where the promoters have not been transparent, or they have not been equally energetic, or some of their decisions have been reckless. In that cases, we have seen that the private equity players have then put down the foot and either taken over the management or introduced professional people, something like a Flipkart, where after a while they asked the promoters to go for a final exit. They paid one of them and they asked the other to resign as the CEO. They hired a professional CEO to run the show, because then they were expecting far more transparency and far more unbiased approach towards the business. Challenges, of course, with the MSMEs are the same, that with the kind of competition that they're growing, there's a far more lesser knowledge with the MSME players. And I think that is where I've discussed earlier also, that there is a huge opportunity. In fact, if I talk about myself, the last 5 years have been really one of the most interesting times of my professional practice, because I could meet hundreds of fresh startups and MSMEs almost on a very regular basis, which was not happening in the previous 10 years of my practice. Earlier, it was just about a handful of the clients, or maybe you add on a client maybe once in a month, or maybe once in a week. But today we are meeting almost every day. We're meeting new clients. We're advising them on different projects, and that is why I am glad that we have kept this particular seminar or webinar, where we are sharing our practical insights, that this the kind of enthusiasm that we now see in our own teams, in our own self, in our own office, and clients who walk into our office, the kind of enthusiasm that they have, that they also feel, the vibrance that we can see in the office today is far more, because the people come in with a lot of hope to us. They come with a hope that we are able to give them new direction, a new approach, and maybe from there a lot of good things can happen to them also. Because we feel that having said everything, giving just a lecture on productivity maybe not enough, but apart from just helping them increasing productivity, if you can actually help them scale up, and scaling will surely be done if you are able to bring in them the capital, the kind of capital that they require. I think that that is the real support that they require. I think since we don't have much to discuss, except if in case we would have any query that you're in, the kind of SME IPOs that have happened in last couple of years have been very enthusiastic. In fact, uh, the Ghaziabad case, which is very surprising, where the company was oversubscribed by 1976 times of a bid of almost 14,000 crores. Then there was another case where a two-wheeler dealer, he wanted to raise just 10 crores and he ended up raising almost 500 crores. So I think these stories are coming up, which shows that there are a lot of money in the system, but it is we who have to really understand how we can go to our clients, how we can advise our clients, how we can bring that kind of enthusiasm in our clients, where they come to us for far more interesting objectives and not just a traditional internal audit or just a compliance audit. So I think it's a time when we all must look into the fact that how we can also become, if not a full-fledged investment banking firm, but at least a team of us can together be a competitor to the investment bankers or the big four, the big five, so that our clients don't get pushed going towards the big four. They can get the kind of services from us only, and we can also, in that process, as a firm, we also grow. Our interns learn a lot, and we have a far more better impact to the society and to the institute as well. Well, I think I have covered up most of the broad things that I think that would have been needed from my perspective. But still, in case there is anything more, if you feel that needs to be covered, or there are any questions that have come up, I would request Manishi if you can share it here on the chat box also. In case there have been any questions that may have come up there, we can surely take them up.
Yes, sir, we have a few questions. Just I'm sending to coordinator, ma'am. She will ask you one by one. Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. She will be asking, sir, in few minutes. Participant, you can ask the question in chat box if anyone have any questions.
Anything for us, Ravi? Or should we move on? So this is basically, when we are doing a practical approach to what we may have just seen in the typical Shark Tank. Shark Tank is much more glamorous than what it happens. Normally, a yes or no will not take much of that time. Yes, definitely, they do understand in they do come up with couple of round of meetings before they actually finalize the if they do want to go in or not. But yes, in these three areas, there is a good opportunity of company valuation, deal structuring, and investor relations. Now, these three are the areas where I feel that there's a good opportunity for CAs to work together. because company valuation is something which even a promoter does not understand. So he may at times be too over bullish, or at times he may not even have the idea that what kind of valuation that he should ask for. Sometimes he is underestimating his value creation, and sometimes he is being over ambitious, unpractical. So in both the cases, I think as a the seasoned CA professional, experienced person, we can always guide him as to what should be the most appropriate amount, where he should settle, what is the amount of delusion that he must do at this stage or next stage, how much more should be done or can be done, how he protects his value, and how the kind of companies are there,
और मैं
especially
यहाँ बैठ के कर रही
uh,
हूँ.
when they are talking about we've heard stories like Paytm. So they will be holding six
हेलो,
percent in their core company, but otherwise they are holding the kind of wealth they
ये
have.
आपने
And same
Sorry,
is
sir.
the
Please continue.
any questions?
मैं कहाँ पे दिख रही हूँ? हेलो,
हाँ जी मैम.
हेलो.
हाँ जी मीना जी.
सर,
बोलो बोलो मैम, आप बोलो.
I have a query. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you have.
Yes. Sir, some few questions are there. Shall I ask you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The first question is, what are the potential benefit for MSME in hiring a CA as a financial consultant?
Sir, I think that's what I've been telling in the last session, that for us, if I being very honest, because we are all in the same category today. Earlier, we were approached by people to do our internal audit or file income tax return or file GST return or the audit,
Hello?
but eventually, what we earned was a very
Hello?
basic, minuscule amount.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. अभी करते हैं. Unmute करना है इसको. सुनिए.
But having said that, the important part was, if you are able to be the partner that we
Yes.
want to be, especially if he wants to grow, then that is the time when he can actually make money. We can make money. We can get a due kind of fees also, and that
सर
is
मेरे
where.
में ना एक्चुअली
मैम वीडियो अनम्यूट कीजिए, मैम अनम्यूट कीजिए.
मैम अनम्यूट कर देंगे तो अगला क्वेश्चन कैसे पूछेंगे. एंड सेम इन द डील स्ट्रक्चरिंग, मतलब उसको आपको डील को स्ट्रक्चर करना भी आपका एक्सपीरियंस के ऊपर होता है. आपको उसको एग्जिट देना है. इफ यू वांट टू एग्जिट इन्वेस्टर, हाउ वुड प्लान इज एग्जिट आल्सो, and for the
ओके
fresh
ओके
round of
सर,
money.
आप पूछ लीजिए सर.
If you want, you can just copy paste them on any chat box or any other WhatsApp. If you can give me on the WhatsApp also, I can take up those questions. So I think giving an exit to the investor is again very interesting part. And again, here there are a lot of experience that comes in, that how one investor has to be given an exit. I have got a case study with me. They were doing very well. The promoters became over ambitious. I would say I would rather call them wrong. It happens is that you become over ambitious. That why is he growing? Because he just invested in me. That's again a very wrong theory. At many times it may not be profitable also. And there's a company who was doing very well. They're into education, and so out of over ambition, before going to IPO, they purchased back their equity from the investor at almost three times the value, because they thought they will be going into the IPO anytime in next 2 3 years. Unfortunately, COVID came, and the entire amount got blocked and also got stuck up so much that eventually they were turned NPA, went into losses, and all kind of problems just pour in. So that in lot of people end up doing big mistakes. So I think as a consultant, it's again a duty of us to advise them practically what is right and what is not, and then at least you are not only giving them the right exit, but also giving an insight as to where what are the difficulties. So thanks, Ranaji. I think we have got some queries coming up. I think I can just quickly take them up.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. I think we can just post it there. It is better. What are the potential benefits for MSME in hiring a CA as a financial consultant? I think the benefit is both ways. It is not only for a CA to be hired. I think today it is the important part is that the MSME needs to hire me because I have that technical expertise to tell you how much value you should ask for, when you should take an exit. You should not waste your money by investing in verticals that may or may not be profitable. Do not get too disillusioned by yourself. I think you need somebody who, as an auditor, as a consultant, as a partner, can pull you back wherever you may or may be going wrong. As I've told you that in last couple of years we met so many people. In fact, the story I was telling you is a large education company which had given back 350 crores at a valuation of 1500 crores to their existing investor, and today they are actually ended up going to NCLT themselves just because of their over ambition. So I think it's a very important thing that if you are able to mentor your client and keep him grounded, keep him focused, so that he doesn't recklessly spend money, he does not recklessly waste money. It is not his money that is that he has a right to buy luxury cars or luxury houses. It is supposed to be put back into the business and grow. What strategies can CA suggest to MSME for effective cost management and expense control? Again, as I was telling you, that we have seen a lot of people who have suddenly, exaggerated their own salary, they exaggerated their salaries of their staff, or recklessly hired people. In one of the companies, I will not take the name again for professional reasons. They hired left, right, and center, and even if they did not require those people, they hired them so that the competitor should not hire them tomorrow. So we cannot be, hiring the entire country just because I don't want anybody else to hire anybody. And the price that they paid was that they wasted almost 3,000 crores that they had raised, and the entire money got wasted, lost, and the opportunity was so bad on them that after that they could never raise up. They were out of the market, broken, and today they are not even existing. Similarly, there's a company who raised, there was a housing portal that the company had raised humongous amount of money. And before setting up any systems, before setting up any, practices or business model, or before making it, money spinner, the entrepreneur, the promoter just wasted the entire amount raised of, I think, 500 crores at that point of time in only putting down hoardings all across India, because that was the only kind of means during that time. Most of the means were there, Instagram or less. So he spent a humongous amount only on the road hoardings before even the business was in place. And even today, and that reckless attitude got him fired, and then the whole proposal was taken up by another company. So I think in that case, it is important for the CA to be not only as a growth partner, but also to be since CA is a more analytic based and he's grounded, he can actually control and give a right advice. In fact, if it recently, we had a chance of doing the same discussion with one of the companies who are not doing well. We actually showed them how they can, from the low, they can actually still rise. We help them raise very basic capital, even in difficult times. And today, in 3 to 4 years, we can see a good turnaround. They are now back into the profits. The top line has improved. The investor confidence has increased, and now they can negotiate to get private equity more, which was earlier they were hopeless about. So I think it's all in this. As a CA, you can advise your clients on different aspects. How can CA assist MSMEs with Udyam registration and risk benefit? The all the registrations are done at DPIIT for Startup India, for Udyam. Most of these are online. But I think with just a practice of one or two for clients, I think you and your staff can be trained enough to work on these sites. You should, for all those clients who have something interesting and something new in them, you should advise them to register themselves on a DPIT's startup portal. And if they have some technological advantage of innovation, product innovation, service innovation, or any other innovation that they you feel is beyond the normal, you can also advise them for ATIAC. That is again a good area of core practice where you can help them get ATIAC certification and income tax exemption for the next 4 years. How can CA help MSMEs raising funds through banks and financial institutions? I think banks and financial institutions funding has become a very normal professional practice. It's been done from last now 50 odd years, and now the banks have become so PR so strong in PR themselves that their AGMs and general managers are out meeting the clients directly themselves. So I don't think much has been left for the CAs, but surely yes. Having said that, you can always take up the mandates from your clients who are not yet well versed with how the bank funding works. You can help them prepare CMA data. You can help them with documentation. You can approach the banks because now the banks are more friendly in talking to CAs, which they were not earlier. Today they are far more they're far more open to talk to us, and they are happy to discuss with the professionals because many times the promoters did not make the proposal in the right formats. So I think it's a good area where, as a CA, we can always work on. And how to prepare before for the first time. Now, if you are working, even if you are for the first time, you are venturing into this field. Yet, I would suggest that it's not too late because even I started this journey 5 years back. It did take us a little apprehension and some time, but with the courtesy of some good deals happening in last couple of years, your confidence grows. The confidence of your clients grows in you, and even the investors feel you have an experience of first of all getting the right companies, and you don't waste their time. You get the right companies, you filter them, vet them, and only those who have the potential, those are invited. And then while you're interacting with those fund houses, you can actually see that how sharp they are, how their experience of vetting so many files almost on a daily basis is there, that they don't waste much time in today taking a decision of yes or no. And so if they are convinced with the proposal, only then they would ask you to go ahead with it. And from there onwards, of course, detailed study starts. So that has been the experience. If anything else is there, because we have covered broad things, except of course from the how you can prepare as the legal
Sir,
consideration.
we have only two more questions.
To just write it them, I think we can
That's it.
just
Yes,
see
sir.
them. And of course, we can help them in the due diligence, term sheets and agreements and legal considerations. So I think this is what more areas that you can cover up as part of your professional practice. Because in all these three things, both the clients hire you, and at times even the investment bankers hire you, the companies hire you, because they need due diligence report from the CAs about the company's performances and any outstanding in terms of GSTs or audits or penalties and ROC. So many times, if you're attached to any of these investment banking companies, they hire the CAs for getting the legal due diligence done. And same with the term sheets and agreement, you help your clients to prepare the term sheets and agreements so that you're able to draft the agreements very well. You're able to safeguard the investor interest and of course the promoter's interest, so that there are no predatory attempts on the company. They don't take over the company just like that. And so the interest of both the client as well as the company are well supported and protected. And yeah, so I think we've covered most of the aspects that a company we feel that that a CA as a partner must try to grow beyond just compliance and be a strategic advisor to your client. And there are a host of opportunities that we feel that are available. And of course, if there is something that you need to understand, we can always keep a Zoom session, and we can discuss some practical questions that will be coming in the near future also. I would request my fellow members who have an interest in that like we are keen to learn about the bank audits regulatory, we are keen to adapt to the GST changes. I think this is also an interesting area. If you feel that you have an interest, then maybe such sessions can always be in the future also be helpful, and you can approach your clients with fresh learning, fresh knowledge about how they can also grow and where they can get kind of money that is needed to grow and beyond. That's enough, I think, from my perspective. And if there is still any question, then we are happy to take it. Otherwise, I think we've done a broad understanding overall of how you can become the growth partner for your MSME client and how your MSME client can benefit from your experience and your positioning, which is helping them grow beyond just a bank loan or beyond just an NBFC business loan, because there is a big opportunity which we have discovered and we would want our fellow members to also unleash. Manish. Any other questions, sir?
No, sir, there is no any other.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's all from my side from here, because I think broadly we have taken up, and of course there are a lot of options that we can always connect again. And in case there is still any questions that may come up, of course I'll be more than happy to answer it maybe at this platform or beyond.
Sure, sir, sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you for wonderful session.
Thank you,
very
thank
much.
you, thank you.
Thank you, Dexter, for me.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.